Rodarius had mentioned the extra work that you guys are putting in on the jugs. Can you just kind of walk through what that's looked like for you?
100 jugs a day, that's a minimum. If we feel like putting in extra work, we may go 200. So just trying to get that extra work just by catching the ball. Coach Pope always mentions catching the ball is like putting up shots. You know what I'm saying? Me and Rob, we done hoop. So, he always trying to translate, basketball to football. So just, getting extra work in is good.
When you look up there and each of you guys are getting a bunch of reps, especially the freshmen, do you realize there's an opportunity there to actually play?
Of course, everybody got an opportunity. So, just trying to help the team out. That's what we're trying to do for real.
How's your mindset different now than it was a few months ago about the urgency of the season, that it's coming pretty soon?
Just attention to detail on the smallest things. At first, you're trying to learn the playbook. You're trying to learn your route. Now it's, what's your depth, all the smallest, tiniest things you can possibly think of, you're trying to get that through. So, it's coming along.
How helpful has Braylon and Mike been, trying to get you to pay attention to those small details so you can play as fast as you can?
It's been well. They've been in the offense, not too much, it's longer, but they've been in it longer, so they know, a little more about the offense than I do. So, just asking them after meetings, what is this, what is that? So when it shows up in the game, I can be prepared. It's been good so far.
Where have you improved the most since you got here?
Really my speed, for real. Having guys in the strength and conditioning, having them, previously being track guys, getting my core right, getting my stride length right. They've really worked on me with that, even overtime. So just my speed, I can definitely see a tremendous change in my speed so far.
I saw you working with Coach Pope earlier. How much have you, do you feel like physicality has always been a part of your game? Have you kind of embraced that more this year, or how has it always been something you?
Definitely, one point he's trying to make, is just be controlled. A lot of times, when I was in high school, guys are obviously smaller, but now being the SEC, guys are, I wouldn't say as big as me, but they're close to my size. So, I got to get used to that, be a little more controlled, and just stay in my frame.
What's it been like getting adjusted to Joey and throwing the ball? What's it been like? What have you seen come from him since he got here in the summer?
It's been good. He has a great spin on it. All of our quarterbacks are doing a great job putting it on us. It's just our job, just catching it through.
How'd you end up with number 1?
Spring, for real. Just having that dog mentality. Then I asked for it. I got it.
How much are you and Darius pushing each other? Being freshmen who've been here several months already.
We've been pushing each other a lot on and off the field. For real, just we competitive with everything you do, no matter if it's on the game, how many drops, how many MAs. It's the small things we try to compete on just to make each other better.
How's Joe Kim done coming in? You and Rodarius were here in the spring. He got here in the summer. How do you feel like he's caught on?
Same thing with him. He's caught on very well. He's like a sponge. It's crazy. Sometimes I catch myself asking him on some things with the playbook because he can adapt so well. So Joe Kim doing a great job in the slot. So he's a great tool to have for real.
When you chose Tennessee, was immediate playing time a factor at all in choosing Tennessee?
No, I wouldn't say that. It was really just being believed in for real, and the consistency. Like I said, with them contacting me, I believe they contacted me the most throughout any school. So just knowing I was a priority at first, that's great.
Now seeing
A couple more.
you seeing young receivers dominate college football last year. Now
Right.
you have a chance to probably get on the field and do your thing.
Right.
How much of that motivated you coming into this year?
A lot, seeing those guys last year, all those guys do their thing as freshmen, that definitely motivates you. It makes you want to make an impact really early.
All right, thanks, Travis.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yep.